Hello everyone, it's Imran here. Welcome back to the video. So I'm aware that this audio story was uploaded last week. It was, but because it came out around about the same time as Kiefer Adams' two audio stories did, I decided to prioritize them and react to this one. This week it is. So it's another audio production story, or audio production, as to say, by Narrow Gauge, which is called A Pointless Day for Thomas. I think the last one I reacted to by him was James the Lone Engine. It was that talked about James's being how James was a loaned engine before to Soda before he became part of the Northwestern Railway. Once you match that out, I'll have that on the top right corner of your screen. And A Pointless Day for Thomas is another one that fits the TVS continuity. I don't think this really fits the RWS continuity, where basically Thomas is feeling bored and is sent to the tunnel to help Henry out of the dilemma. If you've seen episode 3 of season 1, which is obviously the adaptation of the sad story of Henry, you would have noticed that they replaced the red engine from the original Railway series story to Thomas in the TVS adaptation of it. Although I do think having Thomas made much more sense. And this story is going to talk about what Thomas was up to before he was sent to the tunnel to help Henry out of the dilemma, which obviously we all know. Spoiler alert: failed. It did. So, what was Thomas doing on this pointless day he had? Let's see what he was up to. Link to go and react to in the description down below as always. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into this. It's been a while since I reacted to one of the Narrow Gauge's audio stories. Second best behind Kiefer Adams he is. Narrow Gauge.
Thomas was bored. He sat in the yards out in the pouring rain. He had shunted the last train ages ago, and there wasn't much else to do. "Bother this rain," he said. "I'm all soaked." "Oh, stop being so dramatic," laughed his driver. "It's only water.
Thomas is just
It will
being
easily
bored.
dry off." "Yeah, when it finally stops raining," muttered Thomas. Just then, the foreman ran through the rain towards them, clutching an umbrella. "What are you up to?" asked the fireman. "Just got an urgent call," the foreman panted. "We need you down to the tunnel as soon as possible." Thomas was puzzled. "Why?" "It's Henry. He's stuck in there with his coaches and can't get out. They need you to go and help." "Right then," said the driver. "Come on, Thomas. Can't keep the passengers waiting." Thomas set off, more than happy to have something to do.
He's very happy to have something to do, he does.
The rain had finally stopped by the time Thomas arrived at the tunnel. He saw the brake coach sticking out of the mouth and the guard waving him down.
To see the TVS adaptation of Henry actually has the red engine replaced by Thomas when they try to get Henry out of the tunnel, and obviously we all know how this is going to go.
He was rather confused. When he heard that Henry was stuck, he thought that part of the tunnel had collapsed and blocked his way. However, it seemed to be in perfect order. "What's going on?" he asked. The guard was red in the face and very cross. "Stupid engine was worried his paint would be spoiled by the rain, so he stopped in the tunnel and won't move any further."
Oh.
Thomas just blinked. His paint being spoiled? Is that it? The guard nodded. Everyone's been trying to talk sense into him, even the fat controller, but he just doesn't care. After a moment to let the words sink in, Thomas suddenly burst into hysterical laughter. "And you called me dramatic," he wheezed to his driver, who was also cackling with the fireman. Finally, they all managed to calm themselves down.
At least we know what was going on with Thomas while everything was going on with Henry at the front. He just couldn't help but burst out laughing. I probably would burst out laughing too if I found out that Henry locked himself in the tunnel because he didn't want to get his paint dirty.
Somewhat. Finally, they all managed to. Fireman, who was also cackling, he burst into hysterical laughter. "And you called me dramatic," he wheezed to his driver, who was also cackling with the fireman. Finally, they all managed to calm themselves down. At least, somewhat. "All right, Thomas," said his driver, wiping his face. Come on, let's try and get him out. Thomas approached the train, now feeling excited. How grand it would be that someone like him could push a big engine like Henry on his own. That would certainly impress the Fat Controller. He buffered up to the coaches and used all the strength he could build to push. Thick white steam shot out of his funnel into the air.
Thomas is not like a
The train moved an inch, then another, and went no further.
Wow.
Thomas didn't stop though. He puffed and pushed as hard as he could. The more he tried though, the more he grew tired. Soon, the whole ordeal became less and less funny. At last, he gave up. "Bother!" he huffed. "Bother that Henry! All this over some stupid paint!" He sat still to catch his breath and waited to see what would happen next. He heard a stern voice from the other end of the tunnel, but couldn't make out what was being said. Eventually, the Fat Controller emerged from the tunnel. He saw how exhausted the little tank engine was. "Cheer up, Thomas," he said. "You did your best. At least I can rely on you to work no matter the weather." "Thank you, sir," replied Thomas. "But what now? Could you please just bring the coaches out this time?" "Just the coaches, sir?" "If Henry wants to stay in the tunnel..."
Oh, so this is how they removed the coaches. He asked Thomas to take the coaches back.
"So be it. I'll see to it that a wall is built in front of him so he can't get out." Thomas was shocked. "A wall, sir? You mean he'll be in there forever?" The Fat Controller winked. "As far as he believes, yes," he whispered. Thomas wasn't sure if he found the plan clever or disturbing. Either way, he thought it best to do as he was told, and brought the coaches out into the daylight. As he did so, he had a sudden thought. He began to grow excited again, as he realized there may still be something to gain from this. "Excuse me, sir," he said, innocently. "If Henry's in the tunnel, that means another engine will have to take over the train, sir." "Quite right, Thomas," replied the Fat Controller, "and as soon as possible." Thomas waited with anticipation.
He wants to see if he can pull
"Which
the
is
train.
why I've asked for someone to come here immediately, and with any luck..." He was cut off by a whistle, and Edward appeared out of the tunnel. He quickly buffered up to the train. "Ah, hello, Thomas," he puffed brightly. "Thank you for bringing the coaches out. Sorry, I'd like to talk more, but we'd better get this train moving again."
Yeah.
Once the passengers had boarded, Edward gave a friendly toot and set off, disappearing into the tunnel. "Off you go now, Thomas," called the Fat Controller. "I have to attend to Henry." He too left, back into the tunnel to the other side.
Oh.
Thomas was completely stunned. It all felt like it happened in seconds. He sat in silence for a few moments, and then he was furious. So furious, in fact, he shouted several strong words that are not to be read aloud.
Ooh.
"Nothing," he concluded. "All of that for nothing." His driver and fireman were on the verge of laughing, but managed to compose themselves.
Oh, they're even laughing at Thomas for
"Never mind,
swearing.
Thomas," said his driver. "Come on, let's head back. Hopefully there'll be some shunting to do now." And still grumbling, Thomas reversed back down the line towards the yards.
Wow. Wow, I was not expecting Thomas to shout out expletives right there. He wanted to. He thought he saw this as an opportunity to pull his own train, and instead, instead, he He got completely shunned by Edward right there. I know Edward didn't mean to do it to hurt Thomas right there, but oh my word. So that was truly a pointless day it was for Thomas. He was bored and not had any shunting to do. He thought he could push Henry out the tunnel. It didn't work. And he thought he could get a chance to pull his own train. That didn't work. And all Thomas had all the bad luck right there. You know, shunting, couldn't get Henry out the tunnel, showed up by Edward, which is all topped off by those three strikes are all topped off by him yelling expletives or swearing very loudly. He is. I don't want to imagine what Thomas was actually saying right there, shouting, but I hope the Fat Controller didn't hear that. Because like Thomas would likely have been, if the Fat Controller heard that, then Thomas likely would have been disciplined severely for his choice of words. You know, Thomas, this probably is exactly why you're not ready to pull trains just yet, because the Fat Controller clearly can't trust you, and we would find out two episodes later why Thomas was not why the Fat Controller couldn't trust him pulling trains because of you know what. Wow. It was nice to have a little bit of an audio story explaining what Thomas was doing on the day Henry was stuck in the tunnel in the TVS. But so yeah, and him that was just that is actually quite funny. It is Thomas wanting to do something good only for it to be shut down completely. But him swearing loudly, that was unexpected. That was unexpected right there. Oh my god! And the fact they had that shot from Thomas and Gordon right there was the icing on that was the icing on the cake right there. The icing on the cake. Uh, I do feel bad for Thomas though. He really wanted to do something exciting, but wasn't meant to be. Wasn't meant to be. But we all know that Thomas's time came, don't we? Yeah, glad I got around to react to this. Shame this video was marked. The video I was reacting to was marked for kids. It was on YouTube, but let's see what the comments in the community section says, or you can leave your own comment down below on my reaction to this video if you want to. You do see my previous Thomas reactions from his audio story or Trains adaptation. I'll have a playlist up in the top right corner of your screen right now. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like off me. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought this audio story I reacted to. Also know in the comments down below what other videos you want me to react to next. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok. Links to both of them will be in the description down below. Share this video, subscribe if you're new here, ring the bell to get notified. I'll upload new videos in that post community tab, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!